Hello and welcome to today's webinar. I am Dustin Froyam, one of the founders of VirtualZ Computing, and today I have Mark Sokol with me and our executive chairman. And we're going to talk a little bit about how to support your customers and projects to get mainframe data into the cloud. And everything we talk about today will actually apply to on-prem or distributed platforms as well, but we'll kind of talk about it more focused on the cloud. So yeah, we'll talk about that and just do a little bit about the challenges and why the VirtualZ approach and architecture is different. And then we'll dive into kind of the product details of PropelZ and how that helps get that data integrated into your environment. And then some other resources for you, and then what this means from kind of a pricing and a partner incentive and some of the solutions that you can build around it. And we'll save a little time for Q&A, and then we'll wrap it up. So let's talk a little bit about the challenges that exist with getting mainframe data into AI platforms. So that can be a big challenge when you're talking about different data structures, as we know, and how you get those synced up with those cloud and distributed platforms. Obviously, you don't want to be running, mainframe AI and then cloud and distributed AI. You want that data completely integrated. So, how do we address that challenge in an efficient, cost-effective, and particularly in our case, a no-code way? So you can get that all integrated and get the value out of that data, and even do that in an online window, not just in a batch process, and eliminating some of those kludgy and manual put together processes, or even more complex commercial products that are on the market as well. And then how do you do that with security and data governance that everyone's used to on the mainframe side? And we can talk a little bit about scalability as well. So Mark, given some of these challenges, you just want to talk a little bit about from your experience in, your decades in the mainframe space, and what makes VirtualZ different and the approach that we have.
Well, many of the other solutions to do this really require quite a lot of integration into the site, into the mainframe that you will be deploying this data. And we've designed PropelZ to really allow you to install it out of the box, not require a lot of coding or a lot of integration work. It exists with your existing infrastructure. It runs as a piece of mainframe software. It reduces the cost of running the workload because the workload is entirely zip eligible. And truthfully, from when you install PropelZ to when you are getting the benefit of your data being moved to the cloud or to another platform, it's virtually instantaneous. We have customers that have told us that they've gotten the solution to their problem of moving this legacy data to an environment that allows them to run AI applications in less than 24 hours. And that's really the unique aspect of PropelZ. It was one of the design considerations, and it truly allows this fairly complicated process to be intuitive and to move quite quickly.
Yeah, Mark, we come across customers that have that's been a big challenge for them, where even just taking in some VSAM data, they're waiting for weeks just to ingest a copybook, let alone completely automating it, like you said, within minutes, hours, not days, weeks, months.
Yeah, the ability to recognize all of the specific mainframe data formats, automatically convert them to what is expected in a cloud-based environment, and do that without having to have programmers available. It's super unique and really dramatically reduces the time to value.
Yeah. All right, let's dig into a little bit more about the architecture, and we'll delve into these topics a little further. So PropelZ is a three-part architecture. It runs natively on the mainframe, and that's part of the secret sauce that we have here. Is that it allows us to get access to that data, still govern it very securely, filter it if needed. Um, but it is a mainframe product today, and we can take basically any input on the mainframe side. We can even take inputs outside of the mainframe. So one of the platforms that comes up quite a bit is AS400. Now we haven't ported all the way over to AS400 or iOS, but we can take inputs from other platforms today. So those can be, DB2, IMS, those types of things, and we'll talk a little bit about that. Then we have kind of the middle chunk there, which is represented in the pipe, where we do automated data transformation and create that output from that input piece. And then really one of the really unique pieces of the architecture is that there's no code on the target side, but it is still direct access to the data on the mainframe side and direct write to the target. And so that's a really distinguishing architecture in the market. We're not having to do all that translation or transformation on the cloud side. We can just write it directly. And so we're taking steps out of that process. And like Mark mentioned, right, it's zip eligible or zip enabled workloads. And so all of that can be done very efficiently on the mainframe side without taking up general processing MIPS. So Mark, I'm going to ask you to talk a little bit about some of the inputs and the targets that we support a little bit deeper here.
So the on the mainframe side, so let's talk about the inputs to PropelZ. We have the ability to natively read VSAM files along with indexes and alternative indexes and everything that is stored in the VSAM file. We can, of course, read sequential files, tape files. We can read DB2 tables directly. We can even read legacy databases such as IMS, IBMS, Datacom. But also, and we're starting to see quite a lot of interest, we can read SMF and console data as well. So if you have an application for management data to be populated from your Z system to the cloud for operational control or for historical control, we have the ability to do that. And again, because the left side of this diagram is actually operating on the mainframe, it reads this data in a very native form and under the auspices of the mainframe security systems that you already have.
So Mark, can you talk a little bit about the architecture with integrating particularly to JDBC drivers and how that works for us?
Yeah, PropelZ comes with a set of JDBC drivers built in with over 100 targets. And so, whether you're a Databricks customer or a customer using Mongo or Oracle or any of these other applications on the right, we will automatically be able to connect to them from PropelZ and populate those databases and the data lakes directly. We can also just store the data directly in an S3 container or Azure or cloud as well. So the fact is that out of the box, our product PropelZ comes with a set of drivers that are really world-class as far as performance and allow you to target any of these things directly. So you don't have to go out and purchase a separate driver. It comes with the product directly.
And the drivers we ship with today are Snowflake, Azure SQL, MySQL, Oracle, and Postgres. But we can test and certify additional drivers if that's important to a particular customer of yours. So, I'll talk a little bit about that in the pricing, but just know that that's available. So there's a ton of different use cases. PropelZ is extremely flexible, as Mark talked about, like some of that console messaging or SMF data, we can stream that live into an observability platform. One of the other really interesting use cases that's come up is really around legacy tape data migration, either as a backup or actually migrating that data. And so one of the things that we can do is not only we can take that tape data and store it as a blob in that database, or we can transform that and put it into the rows and columns of that database as well. So that's one that comes up quite a bit and can make a very interesting package solution to your customer base. Mark, what any of these that really jump out to you in the marketplace that's
Well,
your
I mean,
favorite?
I would say there's a few here. I mean, first of all, the demand right now from these large enterprises to make data available for inference engines, for LLMs, in order to train on is key. And so the ability for us to take this legacy data, make it available for Vertex or for Azure ML or any of the LLMs is really key. And we can do it in a way that you can operate it. You can run this multiple times. You could run it once. But I say that to give enterprises the ability to make their data that they felt was really in a black box on the Z system available for AI applications is probably one of the most powerful use cases that we have customers asking us about now. Certainly the ability to convert applications from vSAM to other databases is something that we're seeing, whether it's a modernization or just a migration, both of which are really really important. And also customers that already have invested in integration platforms, whether it's the Microsoft Power BI platform or MuleSoft or Boomi or Informatica, we automatically connect to those as well. And so, but I would say the dominant use case that we're seeing, especially that our systems integrators partners are bringing to us, all have to do with making data available for AI.
Yeah, and I'll just, we just briefly touched on this functionally, but one of the really distinguishing factors around that in the market is the ability to do incremental updates. So if you're looking at your legacy ETL processes, many of those are running in batch, right? And you're kind of tethered to that. Or in other cases, we've seen extremely complex change data capture implementations um, just for simply populating some of these AI and BI platforms. And so one of the things that PropelZ allows you to do is actually do incremental updates in your batch window. So you can just do changes. You can run that every second, every 5 seconds, every minute, every hour, depending on what your needs are. And that's been a really powerful use case for PropelZ, and a very cost-effective one for that use case as well, compared to some of the other things that may be over-engineering for what's needed there. I'll just, this is just a simple architecture around the tape to cloud migration, so just a particular use case. And then our friend Jerry Edgerton at Mainline Solutions becoming Polera, just talking about the ease of installation and use. And we'll talk a little bit about that in some of the demo pieces here as well. So Mark, you have a special relationship with Splunk. We've touched on this use case already, but there is a demo of us integrating with Splunk. Do you want to just dive into that just a touch deeper and what that
Yeah, I
shows?
mean, as a lot of these products which provide you the ability to visualize and act on machine data are really important, certainly in the distributed environment. It's been a challenge for all of them to operate in the mainframe environment. A lot of the times it's because mainframe systems management data is kind of difficult to get, and it's especially difficult to get if you're not a mainframe resident application. And what we're able to do is make available to Splunk and other visualization and tools that allow you to read machine data, all the SMF data, systems logs, management data, and all the other management data that's necessary in order to have a monitoring, a really clear sense that you're monitoring the mainframe. And we gather this information, we'll transform it to a format that that Splunk can read. And whether your customer is doing this for performance reasons, performance management, or whether they're trying to consolidate security information, security logs, and bring together, ACF2 or RACF or top secret data in order to have that, have the ability to visualize that in a single pane of glass. This is a really unique feature and function of PropelZ, and one that is really focused on management data.
Yeah, and I'll just, even if you don't need the visualization of that management data, the mainframe generates massive amounts of SMF data. And so one of the things that PropelZ can also do is that you can just use it to create low-cost storage of that SMF data and offload that to, off your mainframe. You don't have to buy additional DASD or tape or anything like that. You can just offload that data into the cloud, low-cost, archival storage, or even on-prem to, SAN attached to your
Yeah, I
distributed
mean,
servers.
the cost of mainframe channel storage is so high, and adding those new devices to your data center is just such a big challenge that we're finding that more and more customers are looking for alternatives to that mainframe storage, and PropelZ can easily move that SMF data to another storage platform, as Dusty said, either to the cloud or to a SAN that's connected, or really to any other location.
I'm going to talk about one of Mark went through the Splunk demo, but I'm going to talk about the Tableau demo that we have also on our website. So what this demonstrates is it takes a very complex vSAM file. I think the records are 100 or 1,000 K each or something like that. They're pretty big, and within an hour of true elapsed time, install PropelZ, push that data to rows and columns in a MySQL database, and present that in Tableau visually. So that data is, all the world's airports. So there's a mix of all kinds of different mainframe data formats in that vSAM file, and so it just shows how you can use that data or take that data efficiently and get that into an AI BI visualization platform. All right. So what does this mean for you as our partners and systems integrators? This is a solution that you can use to package and present to your customers, depending on what the focus is. We've talked about a lot of these use cases, but how do you wrap this around your value added services, but still taking out risk from your projects with a no code, low risk implementation to get that data to where you want it to be? Mark, anything you're kind of seeing in the market, or what you're hearing about that you'd want us to emphasize here?
Well, I mean, I'll just say that all of the partners that we're talking to, all the systems integration and service partners, are looking for ways to find new revenue with high margin products, and to be able to give customers a value quickly. and not have a 3, 4, 6, 12-month time to fully deliver the results. Well, we feel pretty strongly that PropelZ can be the basis of a packaged solution for these systems integrators that can deliver really quick value at a high margin for our partners.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot about that trend as well. So, smaller, instead of selling 8-digit projects, right? Not that you abandon those, but adding to your portfolio of offerings that can be that high margin, higher volume solution offerings and can deliver and drive the revenue base for
I
your
mean, an example just based upon what we talked about a minute or so ago, you can imagine a customer that is running out of storage, running out of mainframe storage for their business applications. And, you, after an inventory, you recognize that a high percentage of that storage is SMF records. There's a requirement in many of these regulated industries to hold this data for a long amount of time. And instead of having to go out and roll in new Dell EMC or Hitachi storage, this project can have an instant value for the customer by just going in and either rolling into their data center a large SAN and moving the data that needs to be archived to that SAN, or archiving it in the cloud. But with a pretty instantaneous ROI. And I think that that's something that these customers are probably pretty attracted to, given that it's not a lot of coding. They don't have a lot of mainframe developers that they have to spin up to do this. And I think we just think it's a really good example of a packaged solution that our systems integration partners can deliver to our customers.
Yeah, and I mean, with the speed of what AI is moving at, right? If your data is not integrated and can get that into a singular platform, that's just lost opportunity for your customers. So um, we are here to help that. So PropelZ is $50,000 per year, no data limits, no installation limits, no MIPS, no LPARs, nothing. It is $50,000 for the customer enterprise per year, and that comes with like I said, the 5 package drivers that we talked about before. Again, we can offer additional drivers for a small uplift. It's really our cost to test those and certify them and add them to our offering. So typically, $5,000 to $15,000, depending on what it is. There's some interesting implementations of JDBC out there, so I'll just point that out. But we have solutions for those and can help. I'll just mention we have a series of these coming up specifically focused on our partners, and we're going to focus on Lozen and Zach as well, our other offerings. And so across these 3 products, we can handle just about any mainframe data integration challenge or problem that is out there. Or we're happy to consider if you come up with a new one, and there's always new ones. We're happy to take those on. So it's a very unique portfolio, and I hope you'll join Mark and I for watch out and join us for some of those additional webinars coming up. I'll just mention we have a ton of resources out there for you as well. So we have lots of blogs. We have a huge database of other webinars that go into some of these use cases in a very deep level. So check those out if you need those. Those can all be found at virtualzcomputing.com or on our YouTube channel. We also have a podcast. So these are available on podcasts. And we also have some really great industry guests. And I think, Mark, you just recently did one.
Yeah.
Who was your guest for that one?
Oh, he was a data. Gosh, you're quizzing me.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
Sorry to put you
Anyways,
on the spot.
Mark's been a guest host of the podcast, and
Yeah.
we have some really interesting mainframe and data industry folks that have joined us for that. That podcast is called Skyward Data, available on any podcast platform that's available to you. So, Mark, anything else you want to kind of share as we wrap up here?
No, just want to thank everyone for joining. We focused this on PropelZ. As Dusty had mentioned, we have two other products that we will put together these sessions on as well, and we're very excited to be partnering with all of you. And feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Go to our website or reach out to either one of us directly.
Yeah, my email's here, or you can always reach us at hello@virtualzcomputing.com or mark.sokol at virtualzcomputing as well, or check us out on LinkedIn as well. All right.
Yep.
Thanks, Mark, for joining me for this one, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Yep. Thanks a lot. Bye now.
All right.